Good morning, it's Carmel Van Niekerk, and today I get to speak to Clive Butkow, who is the CEO of Kalon Venture Partners. And Clive is going to be giving us all his years of wisdom and experience. He was at Accenture for 28 years until he left in 2012 and ended up starting and founding the Kalon Venture Partners. So today we get to speak to him, and I'm very excited for this opportunity. Hello, it's Carmel Van Niekerk here, and I am interviewing Clive from Kalon Venture Partners. We are looking at people who are launching their apps and software as a service in the South African tech industry, and Clive has a lot of experience of this. Welcome, Clive.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunities.
So thank you so much for coming this morning, and I know we're all on lockdown for 21 days, but a lot of people ask about how to launch their app and how to launch their software as a service. And I think it would be so amazing if they can learn from your experience of getting your company up and going. So can you just share your story with us about your own personal story and about Kalon Venture Partners, if possible?
Sure, yeah, thanks. So my personal story is probably going right back to my childhood. I was an entrepreneur since I was 7. I started working in a clothes shop, formed a few little businesses, making carts and selling them to the neighbors and Scooby-Doos and all sorts of things. I really was one of those guys that, I learned very early that no is okay. They don't say no to me as a person, they say no to the carts or whatever else I was selling. I then started working in a clothes shop from when I was 7 till I graduated with my computer science and applied maths degree at Wits. And then I was going to start being an entrepreneur. I wanted to start my own business, and Accenture, or Arthur Andersen at the time, made me an unbelievable offer. And really, as I used the word, they seduced me to join the company because they were offering overseas trips and off to Chicago. And funny enough, I'd never been on a plane before at that time. And so it was just so seductive that I put a pin in my entrepreneurial dreams. I said, let me go for 5 years, learn as much as I can. It's a fantastic organization. It really is a learning organization. I'll learn as much as I can about all the different parts of entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, product development, operations, leadership, et cetera, and joined them. And I joined them, and ironically, I stayed there for 28 years till I retired 8 years ago in 2012. But my journey while I was there was most interesting. I had a lot of leadership roles until I became the CEO of the company for the last 6 years. I headed up our technology business, being the technology guy. So I ran a team of about 1,000 people in the technology business. And also I had opportunities of working in building some tech businesses all over the world. So I worked a bit in Silicon Valley, in London, and in a couple of other parts of the world where tech was the thing. And software as a service is something that I've had a lot of experience at. I don't know how many businesses I've been involved with, but it's probably close to 100 that I've helped actually scale these.
Wow.
Some have failed, but predominantly having helped scale these businesses. So really, my passion was entrepreneurship. I fortunately could give up Accenture at 8 years ago, and I immediately went into my dreams and my passion, which was really helping others take little things and make them big. So take little tech companies and make them big tech companies. And for the first 4 years, I was just a non-executive director on a venture capital company. And then 4.5 years ago, I decided it was time for me to found. I was the CEO and founder of Kalon Venture Partners. We raised about 150 million rand of capital. We've got 8 investments, all very disruptive digital tech investments. A lot of them are software as a service. They run off in the cloud. And we've got we can talk about it later, but very key criteria in what we look at in terms of making those investments. Yes. But it's a very interesting time now, with the lockdown and the virus and everything like that. And I've really been busy in the last 2 weeks of making sure we future-proof these businesses and bulletproof them, that they can survive this tough ordeal, whether it's 3 weeks, 3 months, or a year that we have to go through. So very interesting times, but I think interesting times with COVID create interesting opportunities. And I'm seeing unbelievable opportunities within our 8 portfolio companies.
Wow. Okay. So can I just go back to when you were talking about you naturally an entrepreneur? Because I think you either are or you aren't. And I almost feel like, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, because you know how you always just want to create more. But maybe in your role that you were there, how many years? 20
28, believe it or not.
28 years. Did you find like you were like an intrapreneur, that you still got to create in that role, that you stayed there so long? There must have been something that made you love the company so much, besides the money, because it seems like you're driven more than just by money. What made you stay there?
No, the money. I'm sorry, Carol.
No, what made you stay there and learn, as opposed to leaving slightly earlier and exiting and doing your own thing? And I ask because a lot of the people who are asking me to help them launch their apps and stuff are ex-employees who have had amazing salaries and they're wanting to now exit, and it's quite a conflict that they're going through. Do they start their own thing, or do they just carry on in a job that they actually like and they get paid well for?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, for me, the most important thing was learning and teaching. So I was a learner. I had fantastic mentors. I had different mentors. Some in leadership, some mentors in how to sell, some mentors in how to be a good manager or be a good operator. So I followed a lot of really good mentors, and I thank them for that I was able to leave 8 years ago. That I was able to have that financial freedom, and I could move on. But I think what made me stay really was my mind was set on 5 years, and I'm going to leave. As I said, I'm going to learn as much as I can about all the different parts of an entrepreneurial business, and I'm going to move on. The problem was, and I don't want to sound, say this in the wrong way, I had so much success that I was climbing through the ranks so fast that actually made me say, okay, let me take one more year. And before I knew it, I was at 28 years. I made partner in 1997. We were still a partnership. We weren't a listed company on the New York Stock Exchange. And it was phenomenal being a partner. There were only 12 of us in the company, of a few hundred people. And I just had a lot of success. I was continuing learning. I was traveling all over the world. I was working all over the world. And I didn't really think about moving on because I was still learning every single day. And I loved the learning. I had incredible mentors. But I must be honest here, no disrespect to Accenture, because I think it's a phenomenal company. It's an unbelievable organization to learn. When I reflected on leaving after 28 years, going back to your question, I reflected I probably should have left 8 years before, 10 years before. And why I say that is because while I was, you say, an entrepreneur, we were very much like, Accenture was very much an entrepreneurial organization, with every part of our business was like entrepreneurs flying information to turn a very big business. So we were growing, we were doubling our business every 3 years, from 200 million to 400 million to 800 million to 1.6 billion. And that was a very entrepreneurial flair amongst the leadership. Those were the guys that actually were leading the company, were very entrepreneurial. So we weren't the typical corporate who are typical corporate type entrepreneur. This was our business, and we grew it very, very fast. The interesting story is my entrepreneurial tendency, lasted long after we became corporatized. And once we became corporatized, our ability to innovate and our ability just to do things that we thought were right were, we were slammed hit over the knuckles and said, I like your entrepreneurial spirit, but this is a corporate. We don't do that yet.
Sure.
And that's the time when I felt that this was the time for me to move on. But I was locked into all sorts of things. I was, I had this financial lock-in and hence stayed for all that time. No regrets, because I have an amazing life now, and I'm able to give back, and I love giving back to young entrepreneurs to do what they can do. So going back to your question about, you said a lot of entrepreneurs are in corporate, they want to start being an entrepreneur. So I would say for tech guys, let's talk tech for a second. I'm not talking about manufacturing. I'm not talking about capital-intensive businesses, because those are fundamentally different. But I would say to anyone that's in the space, start your business on the side. So on weekends, at nights, maybe you've got some cash, you can hire someone, an engineer, to start building your tech, whatever your idea might be. And once you start getting a few customers and you start seeing the customers, or the dogs are eating the dog food, so the customers are biting, and you can actually afford to move over from your corporate into the entrepreneurial environment, I think that's the time to do it. The other reason is to do it is you've saved enough money. You've probably got 12 months of runway. You've worked out how much it's going to cost you month to month. If you've got 12 months of runway, I would say that's the time to jump ship, go out and give it 100%. That you're all in, that failure is not an option. And that's my advice to any corporate person, to either you've got the capital to leave, or do it in parallel until you've got customers that you can leave.
Yeah, I think that's from just the people who I've spoken to, they're investing their own money. And a lot of people do actually end up, it's too overwhelming to do their full-time job and it on the side. But a lot of the people who are technical, they're so technical, and they love their product and they aren't able to stand outside of it and actually explain it to the customer or the end user. And often they don't develop like a minimum viable product just to show it actually works, before they've left their job. And then it's even harder to get investment. I mean, when you are looking at, my understanding is from Kalon Venture Partners that you guys invest in tech startups and you use other people's money and you are seeing which startup's going to work. What you said you'd go to it later, but like what are the key characteristics or criteria that you think will make that tech business or that tech person to launch his business better than the other one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think first I want to give you another answer because you made a very valid point there. So we've had probably 1,500 companies come and see us in the last 4 years to raise capital. And we've made 8 investments. So you can do the math. We're investing in one in, 150, 200. So we see so much stuff. One of the biggest problems engineers like building. They love building. They love building more and more and more and more tech. And what I try to explain to these engineers, most businesses don't fail through the lack of product development. They fail through the lack of custom development and market development. So if you want to build an MVP, rather build it very, very light and go out into the market and see if the customers are buying what you're selling. Seeing if basically what I say to them is you have to solve a huge pain point. It's not a vitamin for a nice to have. It's an aspirin for a need to have. Okay. So the way I explain this to them, if someone's driving to work one day and says, "Oh, I've got I forgot to take my vitamins," they're not going to drive back home to take their vitamins because it takes a long time to see the effect and it's not going to change their life. But if they've got a blinding headache or they've got something in absolute pain, they're going to drive home and they're going to take that painkiller. So the most important thing for startup entrepreneurs, speak to customers. Get out there before you build one line of code. Don't build code. Don't write code. Engineers love writing code. Don't write code. Go and speak to 20, 30, 50, 100 potential customers that understand the problems that they have in the environment. Yes. And once 20, 30, 40, 50 customers say, "I've got this problem," and you say to them, "Well, if I had the solution to your problem, would you pay for it?" And they say, "Well, not even, it's a no-brainer." And what you share with the customer is either just a straw man model, it's a PowerPoint presentation, it's some other wireframing methodology, but something that just shows you what problem it would actually solve. And if 90% tell you that there's no problem, then you're building the wrong thing. Yeah. You're building something you don't want. So before you build, my honest advice is a great book by Steve Blank, which is called Custom Development, which talks about rather speaking to customers first before you start building anything. Absolutely. A lot of engineers do it the other way around. Build it and they will come. And so I build a solution and the customers will come. That happens in the movies. It happens in Field of Dreams with I think it was Kevin Costner. It doesn't happen in real life. So rather, don't spend, I always say get out the building. Don't sit in your building. There's no customers in your building, whether it's in your house, whether you've got an office. There's no customers there. Get out your building. If you're doing fintech or insurance or regtech or proptech or agritech or whatever it might be, go and speak to 50 customers. Find out what their biggest problems are and see if your solution will solve their solution. And if you can do that, your chance of success, once you start building that MVP, then you're building an MVP that's going to solve their problem. And even an MVP, they'll probably pay for. And if you build something they really want, there's something called customer funding. Now, you talked about raising capital. For anyone listening on this video call, the best way to raise capital for a startup is called what I call customer funding, where the customers so love what you're doing, they say, "I will fund you and I'll pay you in advance of building the solution," because they love your solution. Why is that such a benefit? Well, one, it's non-dilutive, so you don't give away any equity, nothing, but you get customers to fund your business. And when you've got enough customers and you've got 10 customers and you're doing $500,000 a month, you come to Clive and you knock on my door and I'm seeing you growing and I'm seeing you getting more and more of these logos, I'm probably going to write you out a check. You're not going to be doing too much selling because I think rather than let your numbers tell the story, selling me your numbers, let the numbers do the selling. Yeah. If you've got the numbers, they're going to do the selling. If I see you're doing $500,000, you're growing 20% month to month, I'll tell you something, I'm interested. I'm really interested. But if you're too early and you've just got an idea, venture capital is not for you. You have to go to what we call the 3 Fs: Phil's, families, and friends that will fund you at that early stage. VCs are more for growth capital. So we look for a number of criteria, but we're looking for companies that are really growing and we want to put our money so they can put their foot on the gas and they can really take their 10, 20% month-to-month growth and keep it going, or 30, 40% month-to-month growth. That's what venture capitalists typically do, definitely in South Africa. Yeah. Around the globe, like Silicon Valley, there's lots of VCs that do focus on angel investing, seed investing, but there's so much capital floating around there. We just don't have that capital in South Africa floating around, and hence VCs tend to more de-risk it by investing in companies that are already going.
So I have a question. When you first started Kalon Venture Partners, how did you fund it? Did you use your own money? I mean, where was the huge need? Was it a huge pain point that you saw everywhere, or was it just with people in your industry? Why did you start Kalon Venture Partners?
Yeah, I think, in all honesty, I think the venture capital industry 4.5 years ago or 8 years ago, it was very, very mature. It's very nascent in South Africa. Maybe it's 10 years or 12 years old, where in Silicon Valley it's 50 years old. So we have a very, very nascent venture capital industry. What I found during my Accenture days and subsequent to leaving Accenture, when I was really helping, I was going into the townships, helping entrepreneurs, I was getting involved in all sorts of NGOs, helping build entrepreneurial companies. And I realized there's a huge lack of capital. There's a huge lack of capital, and there's a huge lack of mentorship. People that really understood how to build a tech business. Because there's not many entrepreneurs here who've built tech businesses and have actually sold them and have now become venture capitalists. Very, very few. And I felt we were in that unique situation, put an incredible board together. All of them entrepreneurs, most of them have sold their businesses, bought them, sold them, built them, sold them. We put an incredible board together. 7 of us are on the, 8 of us are on the board. And then I felt we needed capital to solve this problem, because the biggest problem that I found in the marketplace was, one was human capital. There wasn't enough human capital. Other one was mentorship capital. There weren't enough mentors that could mentor these entrepreneurs that were prepared to spend their time helping them grow their business. The third one is what I call social capital or network capital, that they'll introduce these entrepreneurs to Standard Bank or Discovery or whatever it might be, which clients that they can solve the problem. And least importantly, and I say least importantly, was financial capital. So I felt we had, with that team that I put together and founding Kalon, we needed to raise capital that we could solve the problem in South Africa of insufficient capital, chasing lots of great innovation, lots of great entrepreneurs, but they just couldn't, they could not land any capital. And unfortunately, when there's no capital, the chance of really scaling your business and becoming a unicorn or becoming the next gazelle in Africa or a billion-rand business, it's very, very unlikely. It's very, very unlikely. I don't know if it's ever been done, in all honesty. So that's why we went out. We raised this 150 million. We are looking at raising a very big US dollar fund at the moment. I won't talk more about that now because it's very much in its infancy. And we want to raise this fund because we don't only want to invest in South African entrepreneurs, we want to invest in African entrepreneurs. Our vision in Kalon is to become the #1 venture capital company investing in entrepreneurs who are solving African problems. And we all know Africa is a big continent, 1.2 billion people on the continent, and we have problems. There are lots of problems, and problems are a great opportunity for entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs are problem solvers. Mm-hmm. So probably for me, there's no better place to be than on this continent. And this new fund will be more, let's call it a pan-African, or not even pan-African, sub-Saharan African fund. We probably won't go into Northern Africa, but we'll go into every other part, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and looking to invest in those top entrepreneurs.
Okay, that sounds exciting. Sure.
Yeah, we can't wait, I must say, because we're seeing some, and we sort of handcuffed at the moment because our hands are tied because we can only invest in South African companies. But because of the exposure we have through all sorts of different competitions, and we judges on competitions, and we at the events, my team and I, we see some unbelievable entrepreneurs in other parts of Africa. And unfortunately, right now, the fund can't invest in those entrepreneurs. So we want to become the go-to company, and there is a lot more competition in Africa right now, but we would like to become the go-to company for African entrepreneurs looking for Series A, a $5 million check. That's the type of numbers we're talking about, and we want to be one of those go-to entrepreneurs on the African continent.
Okay, so
that's where we're going.
At the moment, if you're just in South Africa, who then? I mean, obviously, you're going to when you can expand, that's going to be awesome. Because so many, there's just such a high growth in Kenya and Nigeria and Ghana, everywhere. But when you're looking at South Africa, who's your ideal, and I'm not going to say business, I'm going to say who's your ideal customer? Who's the ideal person to come to you and give them and pitch to you?
So what we would like, I mean, they're not, so ideal customer is someone that's got a product. It's not a complete product. We know that. There's a roadmap. It's going to take 5-10 years to develop a roadmap. they've got a product, they've got logos, so they've got customers, they've got revenue. And we're seeing that the customers aren't churning, they're getting more customers, the customers they've got are paying more and more money every month. So we talk software as a service. So they've got that annuity type of revenue. It's a monthly subscription that they're being paid every single month. The monthly subscription is going up. Customers aren't leaving them because they're not happy with their service. When we see that coupled, and they've got, say, a few 100,000 rand or $500,000 or R1 million in revenue, or 2 million rand of revenue. We've invested in a company that was doing about 2 million rand of revenue. We're investing in a company now that's doing 1.5 million rands of revenue. We're looking at another company now that's doing 5 million rands of revenue a month. So we look from the 200-300 to the 5 million rands of revenue. That's the type of companies we would look for.
Yeah.
The type of what we actually look for, just to go through, what would make me and my team and my investment committee say, yes, we are going to back this team. I call it the 5 T's. I mean, number one is the team. We invest in people. At the end of the day, I don't care what technology you've got. We do not invest in technology. We don't even look at the technology. It's irrelevant. If the team is someone that's done it before, it's not their first rodeo, they're mature, they're very coachable, there's a lot of criteria. We look at what's in this team and not the individual. We like teams because it's hard to build a business as an individual. We like, you've got your team, maybe co-founders, your CFO, you've got your CTO, you've got that C-suite in place. So the leadership team is in place already. And then we like to, so from a team point of view, we say, tick, this team is the right team for this opportunity to take it to this market initially in South Africa. Number 2 is technology. We want to see they've got a technology that's disruptive, that there's a moat around the castle. So if everyone starts copying them because they're making money, they're 18 months ahead of every single other company. I mean, one of our companies, we invested, I won't mention the name, but we invested, it was 18 million. It was 2 years ago. They just closed their financial year at 53 million. So you can see, we get involved in helping them open channels and investing in a fantastic team. But we sort of become part of the team. I sit on the board of all our companies, so we get involved very, very directly in helping them scale their businesses. So that's just one example of a business, and that's counter-cyclical. They're growing through this COVID virus. That's just incredible, the growth they're seeing through this COVID virus. So that's a disruptive technology that they keep on innovating. Everyone tries to catch up, but they're out innovating everyone else. Because if they don't innovate, they'll become a commodity. And when you have a commodity business, all you can compete on is price. And really, it's a race to zero. If you look at data prices, that's going to be a couple of years. It's going to be a race to zero.
Yeah,
it's going to be free. And that's what we don't want to invest in, those businesses that have not got that moat around the castle. Number 3 is traction. We want to see that customers like it. We speak to customers. When I do my due diligence, I go to the customer. I say, if I pulled out product A that you're using, what would you do? And I say, Clive, I'll wring your neck, or you cannot do that to me. It'll impact my business. That's what I want to hear. If they say, well, it's not really going to make a difference, well, that confirms for me that this is not a painkiller. This is just a vitamin, and it confirms that's not the company I want to invest in. So that's traction. Number 4 is a very large target addressable market. So I talk about South Africa. Our businesses are not South Africa only. Our businesses are domiciled in South Africa. They registered in South Africa, but the market is all over the world.
Okay.
And over time, they will domicile their businesses to America, to Europe, wherever they're going to raise a big round of next capital. But whilst they're in South Africa, they've got African clients, they've got global clients. That's not that we stuck to South African clients. It just needs to be a South African business, domiciled in South Africa. That's what we mean. So that one is a very large target addressable market. We like them to follow a niche in South Africa. And South Africa is a great place to prove a proof of concept. Prove that your concept works in South Africa. It's a small country. It's the economy it's a big economy, but you can prove that this thing really works and it can scale. And then you start scaling it to the rest of the world, rather than trying to scale it to the rest of the world before you prove it works in South Africa. Whenever I find a company like that, I say, I see the alarm bells, I see the red flags, saying, if you can't grow it in your home country, it's going to be 10 times harder, 100 times harder to grow it in a foreign country. Why are you doing that?
Think globally, but act locally, exactly where you are.
Act locally, 100%. You always have to think globally, act globally, locally. It's exactly what you said there. And the last 5 is just the terms. The valuation's got to be fair on both sides. Okay. We need terms that are fair on both sides. And entrepreneurs obviously want the highest valuation. We want the lowest valuation. So we just have to do a bit of arm wrestling till we get to something that's fair. If it's not fair, I want to be fair to them. I want to be fair on us. If it's one-sided to them or one-sided to us, it's not a fair relationship from a terms point of view, and it's not going to work. It's going to get, it's going to get toxic. one of the things that I'll tell you, if I look back to my years of why businesses failed, it's because we had shareholders that were not on the same page. They were completely dysfunctional. One was going right, one was going left, half they were going right, half were going left, and we just couldn't see each other. And it caused the biggest problems in the business. It slowed down the business, couldn't raise capital, and often the businesses just failed because of the shareholders. So the right shareholders, and that's when I talk about terms, is absolutely critical for us that we've got the right shareholders in the team.
So it's first of all team, second technology, third traction, and then terms. Did I miss one?
No, and the fourth one is large target addressable market.
Target addressable market.
So it's target addressable market, which needs to be very, very large. So we don't want to fish in a fish pond, we want to fish in the sea. But in South Africa, we might want to fish, the niche might be in a fish pond. There we go, one bullet, one kill. We're very, very focused. If it's financial services, one of my companies now are focused on financial services. We could go to all the different industry verticals, 20 industry verticals, but we've got 17 of the top 20 financial services clients in South Africa as our clients. We've been laser focused on financial services. Other clients have come to us, we've said, the hardest word you can say as an entrepreneur is no. No, that's not our focus. The answer is no. Maybe later, I'll put in the vault, we'll come back to the vault later, but we're not doing it now. And that focus has helped us grow this business substantially. And we focus on solving problems in financial services organizations. And the business is really, really doing well.
My mentor always says, cut your niche so tight that only you can actually fill your, what you're offering to someone else.
I think that's 100% right. But that's a short term, that's to start. But then you have to go, horizontal. I always say to the guys, you must go mile deep, till you strike oil. And when you strike oil, you know that you've really made this company. And on the horizontal side, go inch wide. But once you've got that mile deep thing and you've dominated the niche, then the time is starting to go mile wide. In that niche, now go the next niche, the next one, the next one, the next one. And that's how you can build a great business. What I see too often is entrepreneurs come to me and they say, Clive, I've got 8 products. And I'm doing like 10,000 Rand for each of these 8 products. I say, well, where's your focus? What do you want to become when you're older? What do you sell what is your mission and vision? No, we want to be the sole solution provider for the whole of all in 15 sectors. And the discussions are very, very short discussion. There's no focus there. Yes. They probably could make it, but they tried to do, and they've developed 8 products rather than building one, focusing on one, getting the traction on one. And I see it as, it's like throwing the spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. If 3 of them stick, let's go for those. And it's a spray and pray approach. And spray and pray approach doesn't work. It's too hard. It's too expensive. You need too much capital. Google became the best at AdWords. They went vertically down and they hit oil. They made billions of Rand. Sure. Then they went to Google Glass and Waze and they failed with quite a few of these initiatives. But it didn't matter because they were funding it out of cash flow. They weren't funding it out of someone else's money. Their growth was funded out of someone else's money, but not when they went horizontally. That was out of cash flow, which is fine.
Yeah. So your main thing is definitely people would pay a lot more to solve a pain point than they would to be moving towards any pleasure. That's just your ground thing. And if you're confused by someone's offer of like 8 different things, I always think a confused mind always says no. So if they just focus on one thing, one specific niche, I'm just thinking of advice that you're giving now to people who are, releasing their apps or software as a service. It's just to make it completely solidified in one market, find your exact customer that you want, and then you can move out from there afterwards.
Absolutely. Dominate that niche.
Yeah.
And if you've got 10 customers there, have 8 of them as your clients, and you've dominated that niche. They're buying, they continue buying, your SaaS revenue is going up. Then it's time to move to the next niche. Or if you've built a big product and you're doing 10 million a month and you cash flow positive, you can start looking at the next product. Because there is, I think, too many people in South Africa, probably a global problem, it is a global problem. They focus too much on product innovation and they don't focus on business model innovation. And often all you need to innovate your product, particularly in the uncertain times we're going through now. You don't have to do product innovation. Just look at charging it in a different way. Look at turning your campaign revenue once off into a software as a service. So look at business model innovation opposed to product innovation. And that is often all that your business needs is a pivot on your business model opposed to a pivot on your product. So you're solving a problem, great product, but customers, it's not a great business because you're selling it and you're finishing the work, selling it and finishing the work, selling it and finishing the work. Not a great business model. But if you can pivot that into a SaaS license where they pay you every single month and it's not seasonal, because in December, even though they don't do much business, they still pay you the 100,000 rand that they would pay you. So people must look at business model innovation as well as product innovation when they look to innovate.
I actually think during this time, I know everyone is really panicking, especially if you own a business, during this 21-day lockdown. But and this could just be me in my dream world in La La Land, but I think a lot of businesses are going to pivot now and really just cut out all the extra costs that they don't normally need and start actually serving customers online. I mean Zoom, what we are now, is huge in America. I've been on Zoom because I do international. I get mentored internationally, and South Africans. I mean, all the schools are asking what online platforms to use and stuff now. Suddenly, we are going to be shifted in knowledge so much, and I just think it's such the perfect time for a business to pivot its model to make it better. I think it's going to bring a lot of innovation in different businesses in South Africa. That's just me.
Yeah, I think I think you're absolutely right. The top entrepreneurs, the great not the good entrepreneurs, the great entrepreneurs, they'll find a way through this tough times. They will come out the other end a lot stronger. But look at our businesses. One or two are taking strain because of the lockdown and because of the industry that they're in. But most of our businesses are actually counter-cycling. So we're looking at three things we're looking at. Number one is any discretionary cost, take it out, to be absolutely frugal. We're looking at number two, maybe we have to cut down, instead of firing people, because we don't want to do that, cut down the hours that they have to work every week. So maybe from 5 days to 4 days to 3 days, and maybe a bit of a haircut on their salary, just so until we can sort things out, we'll go back to the business as usual. And then we're looking at three scenarios. Every one of our business now, I've gone through with them, is the business the revenue completely dies. The revenue is half of what we're doing now, and the revenue is what we're doing now. So worst case, best case, and medium case. And we're looking at how much cash flow we've got, because cash flow is king. If you don't have the cash flow, if you've only got cash flow 2-3 months, this virus will continue. You're probably going to have to close doors, unfortunately. Yes. Because the access to capital right now is very, very hard. People, the providers like myself, we're not doing that. We're open for business. But a lot of other VCs are just saying that we're locking down, we're focusing on our current businesses, we're not investing any more capital. So for one, there's not going to be less capital, but the valuations are going to go down because of the virus. Getting capital is going to take a lot longer. I always say to my businesses, you need 6 to 12 months to raise capital. We're now saying we need cash flow for 12 to 24 months that we need to raise capital. So we want to get all our businesses that they can have a 24-month runway, enough cash to survive 24 months. And we have to do everything in our power to see that we can survive 24 months, because I think we'll come out a lot stronger and a much stronger business. If we don't have that, one of our businesses only got 24
months is a very long time.
It's a very long time. I mean, that's the extreme case. But if they can hit the 20, 2 or 3 of our business have got, with cost cutting and the worst scenario, we actually can go to 24 months. But it is cutting out a lot of cost out of the business, significant cost out of the business to get to the 24 months. But it's the time it's taking to raise, honestly, the 6 to 12 has gone to 12 to 24. So if you've got 24 months, you are in a very, very good position. If you've got less than 6 months, you are in trouble. Because unless you can pivot and change your revenue model and get revenue through these trying times, you run the risk of running out of cash. You run out of cash, the business, unfortunately, is over. So my advice to any entrepreneurs listening, whether they've raised funding or not, try and just cut off anything you don't need and get that runway as long as you can. Because every month you can add extra to your runway. You've got a chance. That's the turning point between success and failure.
So changing focus slightly, of the people, so you've got several companies that you've invested in, but of the ones that you haven't invested in, when do they walk away from their idea? Like, how do I say it? They've got a product, they're launching it, they try it for X amount of months. When do you see them walking away from the idea and thinking, okay, it's actually not going to work?
Well, I think, my advice to them is go speak to your customers, because if it's not working, find out why it's not working. Why aren't they buying your product? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say as a venture capitalist. It doesn't matter what you say as the founder. The only thing that matters is what the customers say. The only thing that matters is the customer. So you have to speak to your customers and find out why aren't they buying the product. Because either it doesn't solve my problem, it's a vitamin, it's not a painkiller, or if it had this, and this, I would buy your product, because that's actually the problem I have. What you sold is not the problem I've got.
Yeah.
If you have that idea and the customers are telling you, no, there's nothing in this, I'm not going to buy this, this doesn't solve my problem. I think at some point, stubbornness and, being proactive and being stubborn, you have to draw the line between the two.
Yeah.
And a lot of businesses, they just get too stubborn and feel that they are a failure if the business fails. But you've got to accept failure as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. If you can't accept failure is part of the learning process. Failure is the highway to success. And if you can't fail, you will just continue with something that doesn't work. It will drive you mad. It will put you under stress. But it's okay to fail. It's okay. Yeah. What you have to learn is how much most businesses fail. Understand that. 95% of businesses don't last, or 90% don't last 5 years. They fail. It's okay. See it as a learning experience. In Silicon Valley, they call failure experience. They don't say how many failures they have. They say how many experiences have you had. And that's what they call it there. And that's the approach that we have to take as South Africans. South Africa is not good at that, because we see a person who's failed in an entrepreneurial business as a failure.
Yeah, it's
we
true.
don't see them someone that actually has got out there, got taken on the risk, and they actually, for me, in my eyes, they're a huge success. So for me as a VC, someone that's failed 2 or 3 times, I'd rather have them being successful than fail, but it doesn't deter me, because I know they've learned a fortune from their failure, and there's a better chance they'll be successful in the 4th time than they were in the previous 3 times. But failure is not a problem. Failure is, as I say, it's just the pathway to success. And the quicker we realize that, and South African community stops treating them as failures and rather treating them as someone that has tried, that I haven't tried, but they've tried, try the next thing. Because eventually you'll get something to work.
So if you had to, I know we're running out of time. If you had to help entrepreneurs make their product profitable, if you had to give them advice, what would the one thing be that you would say, like, do this and you'll be able to get profitable quicker?
Yeah, do this would be going back to what I've said before, build the MVP and go and speak to as many customers as you can and sell and get paying customers. So do a proof of concept, but get paying customers. Don't give it away for free, because customers, unfortunately, don't value free. The freemium model, the free model doesn't work. Yeah. You need the customers to pay for what they've got. So get a few customers, but make the customers, rather than have 10 customers, rather have 3 customers that are raving fan clients of yours. They absolutely rave about you. They put you on social media. They tell all their friends in the other companies. Rather get 3 clients that are just, they love you. They absolutely love you. They are your biggest fans. And try and get 10 that are all okay with you. That's what I'd advise them to do, because everyone tries to get as many customers as they can, rather than just focusing on what they've got and making them the best customers in the world. And if you can do that, I'll tell you something, they will go viral, because those customers will give you testimonials that you can use with these other clients. And once you've got these satisfied clients and they love you, I think you'll get to the 10, 20, 30, 40 clients. But don't try and go too quickly, too wide, because customer service is everything today. In these trying times, if a customer loves you and they love your product and you're solving their problem and they're engaging with your product, they're not going to leave you. They're not going to leave you for 2 reasons. One, they love your product, but secondly, that you've built that strong relationship with the client. And they'd rather drop another product where they don't have a strong relationship, but they'll keep you because you have a strong relationship. That relationship is everything. And it might not be you as the CEO. Initially, it will be you as the CEO. But as you start growing, you'll have customer support people. It will be them that are maintaining that client. And what I always say to the way we did it when I built many companies, I've actually hired a person to sit at the client's office. So the way I know we're successful is when they get the access card, and they have an access card, and they have a desk. That's when we're successful in that client. Okay. And we really are part of the furniture. We're part of what they do every single day. That is the measure for me of that success. So often I ask someone, how many security cards have you got for the clients? And they get totally bamboozled by my comment. But when I explain it, and they get it, and I understand I need to get a security card, because that's when I'm actually part of the client fabric. Yeah,
it sounds like such simple advice, but basically just ask the customer what they want. And
absolutely.
And people buy from people. You're right, I think that's especially in South Africa. Everyone's very relationship based here. And you would.
Yeah, and if you just one advice, just read the book called Customer Development by Steve Blank.
Okay.
Read that book before you start your business. You read that book and follow his playbook, because he's got a playbook in there that takes you from idea to big business. And follow that. Your chance of success, there's no guarantees, but your chance of success go up substantially.
Wow. Okay.
And the other book is Eric Ries, who wrote The Lean Startup. If you read those 2 books and understand those 2 books, your chance of success go up substantially, because you don't always have access to people like myself who've got the skills, who know how to take an idea to a big business. You know, those skills are rare, and unfortunately they're not easily accessible, but they are in very good books. Those playbooks are documented very, very well in books, and they've come out recently.
Well, thank you. That's very helpful. I'm sure people will now go and run and read those 2 books. Thank you so much for your time as well. Is there any last pearlers you can give us to help people launch their app? And
I think that just the only point I'd make is raising capital doesn't validate your business model. Because everyone thinks, raise capital, let's go and celebrate and drink champagne. If a bad business with or without capital is a bad business, it'll just give you a longer runway to go over the cliff. The only thing that validates your business, and understand that, is customers. Is happy, paying, satisfied customers. If you've got that, you've got a business. And raising capital is no reason to celebrate. Get a customer, get a couple of customers, focus on the customers, solve their problems, solve more and more problems. Africa has got so many problems, which creates so many opportunities for people that want to go out there and solve the biggest problems. Look at the banking system. People can use 300-400 mobile wallets on the African continent, and only maybe, not 50 million bank accounts or 100 million bank accounts. And we've got in South Africa, as an example, got 30 million bank accounts, but very few people have credit cards. So if you can provide a way of those people buying online at Takealot and at all the different e-commerce sites without having a credit card, just think about the problem that you've just solved. Everyone anywhere in the country can buy, because they've got a bank account. They can buy from Takealot or wherever they buy from, but without having a credit card, unfortunately they can't even go access Takealot. And I'm giving a punt to one of my businesses. I won't mention the name, but that's exactly what they do.
I bought quite a few things off Takealot.
Haven't we all? And I see it's closed down in the next 3 weeks. So survive without Takealot.
They've modeled it so well, but that's basically the Amazon of South Africa.
Absolutely.
But you can actually buy on Takealot with Zapper and MasterPass, I think, at the moment. You can scan the QR code at the takeout at the shopping cart at the end.
Yeah. Well, my business is called Ozo. It's an EFT, so you can use Ozo and just do a direct transfer from your bank account into their bank account, and the money goes in immediately. You can get a refund immediately, and the costs are much, much lower than any of these other options that you spoke about.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I had to do that punt.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I just think best of luck, and I hope everyone stays healthy and safe. And please follow the incubation that we're all going through, because this is in everyone's interest. And just ride the wave. Ride this wave. The sun will rise again. You're going to come out stronger. The people that can ride through this and get through this tough time will come out a hell of a lot stronger. And just go. If you're not seeing the opportunities, go and find them. Go and pivot your business. Go and innovate. Speak to your clients what problems they're having. They'll have different problems right now. Business is not usual anymore. Business unusual is going to become the norm. So whatever you do, don't just be a victim and say, then no one's buying. Don't be a victim. Be a victor and go and find something else that you can do and pivot what you've currently got. That's going to make you a great entrepreneur. And that's going to make you someone that's going to be really strong on the other side, rather than someone that's going to die on the other side. And every single person can do it. Just be stronger. Go out there and innovate, and don't see this as a problem. See this as an opportunity, because I see this as an opportunity for all my businesses that I've got.
Good. That's amazing. That's incredible advice. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Clive, and enjoy the next 20 days in your house. Okay. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All the best. Cheers.